This is Financially Fit Business with Ruth King.
Welcome to the Financially Fit Business Podcast. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to the health of your business or your client's business. I'm your host, Ruth King, and thank you for joining me. I appreciate the opportunity to give you ways to help improve the health of businesses. This new podcast follows the format of my other podcast, Contractor Sense, which is in its 7th year of weekly bite-sized short podcasts. You'll meet business owners, accountants, financial experts who have agreed to share their knowledge and experiences with you. The episodes are short, no more than 20 minutes each. You'll discover one thing that you can implement immediately in your business or your clients' businesses. Let's begin with something really basic. Revenue. How does a company generate revenue? Well, your first immediate thought, was probably by selling something. Well, you really want to dig deeper because, yes, you sell something, but what is the unit of sales? So, for example, if we break revenue down into product units, we look at it from this perspective. A car wash. A car wash unit of revenue is how many cars go through the car wash. So we know that if we have a car wash, it generates X number of dollars of revenue and Y dollars of profit. A restaurant, it generates revenues by serving meals. How many meals does it serve? They'll know revenue per meal on average and profit per meal on average. If we look at a gym membership or a spa, whatever, it's by the number of members. Associations is by the number of members and member dues. So really and truly, if we we sell something and we break it down into, okay, what does that really mean? We look at it from a perspective of what is the revenue per unit. And, I forgot one. What about your business? If you're a CPA, it's based on billable hours for most of you rather than recurring revenue. But if you're a plumbing contractor, a heating contractor, an air conditioning contractor, or a home services contractor, or a business services contractor, you generate revenue by billable hours. You have no billable hours. Guess what? You have no revenue. So when we really look and try to help our business owners and our clients, we look at it from a perspective of how much do we really generate per unit of whatever we're selling. And when you start looking at the P&L and the balance sheet that way, it really looks at it from a different perspective. And the interesting part about it is when your clients or when your business knows what the unit of revenue generation is, you can make sure you can maximize the profitability of that unit of revenue. So, for example, if in an HVAC company, the unit of revenue is billable hours. The more billable hours you have, supposedly, the more profitability you have. Obviously, you have to price those billable hours correctly. But let's look at it from a perspective of an employee, a revenue-producing employee, charges the company for 40 hours. How many of those hours were actually billable? So if the employee charges the company for 40 hours and he can only bill 20 of those 40 hours, then you're in a situation where he's 50% productive. Is that good or bad? Depends. Depends upon whether it was driving time. Depends upon whether it was just, we're sweeping the floor time or anything along those lines. So from an HVAC perspective, you want to maximize the number of billable hours profitably. From an accounting perspective, you also have the same thing, because if somebody's on a salary, you want to make sure that they are billing their 40 hours a week and doing it profitably. I mean, if they're not billing 40 hours a week, what are they doing? You also have the situation when you are doing it by billable hours, whether you're a home services contractor or an accounting firm or a bookkeeping firm, that, if one person can do a job in 1 hour, that another person doing the same job takes 2 hours, who wins and who loses? I mean, think about it this way. If it takes 2 hours for one person and you bill the client for the 2 hours, the client really loses because you're in a situation where somebody could have done it for an hour then you would bill the client for an hour. But if the thing is to have billable hours, you have the ethical situation with, all right, if somebody's doing it faster than somebody else, how do we handle this with respect to the client? And the answer to that question is performance pay. And that's not a subject for this particular podcast. But think about it and think about how long it takes your employees to do things. And are those hours truly billable or not? Or if somebody is billing for 2 hours where somebody else is doing the same task in 1 hour, whether it's a homeowner or a business owner or somebody who owns a building or somebody who is, looking at you to provide services, what's fair? What's fair to the client? What's fair to you? So those are some of the questions that you need to answer as we look at revenue. So it's, when we look at revenue, we look at it from a perspective of how do you really generate revenue? And think about, maybe a gym, because it generates revenue on memberships. If the memberships go down, guess what? Revenue goes down. They need to have a profitable revenue per member. Sure, they can be in a situation where a member pays, $2, and I'm exaggerating here. But if it costs the company, if it costs the gym $3, you don't want to increase the number of memberships because you lose $1 for every member. So it's not only the revenue, but it's also pricing the revenue profitably so that as you increase those revenue units, the profitability also increases at the same time. It's like when revenue's $1 and it costs you $2, then increasing revenue is you're going down this big hole to basically run yourself out of business or run a client out of business. So it's not only the revenue, it's, what the unit of revenue actually is and looking at it from that particular perspective. So that's it for the first one. Thank you for joining us. Choose the one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a business owner improve the health of his company. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-8000 or email rking@financiallyfit.business. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.